Final Fantasy 14 won Golden Joystick Awards for the best game community, by the way. GCBTW, best community, by the way. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Second year running. That is right. So everybody was smug about GCBTW. Well, we'll be laughing all the way to picking up our Golden Joystick Award. I guess the community is just too good. Winning. What did we learn? Why don't we just spend some time patting ourselves on the back a little bit? I think that's a pretty good idea. Every game community has toxicity, except ours. we don't have that. None. How? Because you can't win the best game community award unless there's not any toxic people in your community. I'm pretty sure that's the rules. Like, didn't you guys get interviewed by Golden Joystick and they asked you if you were toxic or not? I said no. And they're like, okay, cool. I guess y'all can win. No. Let's go. Didn't Yoshi P make a statement? Yes, he did. Hello, everyone. I'm Naoki Yoshida, producer director of Final Fantasy 14. It is an honor to hear that we've received the Best Community Award. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu. Rather than as a developer. This award might possibly be the one I'm proudest about as someone who manages a huge MMORPG title. After all, there are numerous online games out there. But this award represents the game that received the highest recognition from its players and community. So while there may be many other online games out there, this is the one that the players and the community is loving the most. I think it's amazing in itself that so many players gather in our game and sincerely enjoy playing it together. Yes. Final Fantasy 14 will celebrate its 10th anniversary next year. We've got a lot lined up, including our fan festivals. Be sure to join us both in-game and outside to enjoy festivities together. Hell yeah, brother. Amazing. I'm glad. Yeah. Jesse Coss. Reply. That's awesome. They deserve all the love and support. So what does Reddit have to say about it? What does Reddit think about that? Who cares? I care. Sometimes it feels like there are two communities. The one I experience in game is, in the overwhelming majority of cases, pleasant. The one outside of it is full of the most exhausting, harrowing, passive-aggressive, and unhinged people I have ever come across in my life. Is the passive-aggressiveness off the charts? I don't know what that means. That's just Reddit. Yeah, that's just Reddit. That's just how Reddit is. And the forums. These dudes are literally playing a different game. They have the most shit takes in history. Sometimes it feels like they're forced to play this game. That's often the case on internet forums, though. Remember how to survive art threads on this subreddit? All Ashtola art must be met with, where are her organs? What is that booba? Really? Really? Is this true? I mean, I usually, when I look at art on the subreddit, I just look at it and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I look away. I usually am not reading the comments, but is that the case? Because usually when I see booba, I'm like, hell yeah, it's booba. Look at the booba. They drew a good booba. Like, I'm not thinking a lot further than that. Male art with bare, swollen chests must be met with hunk. Lick, lick, lick. Where is the male art with the bare, swollen chests? Just so I can check for the comments. Do you have a reference for what you're referring to here? Because, if you do, you should just send me the link so I can go check the comments to confirm if this is true or not. I mean, it's true the community is, I think it is pretty nice. Obviously, people that are disgruntled are going to go and be very loud where they think that they will be heard the most and the loudest, which is going to be on the forums. It's going to be on Reddit. Really. So that's why sometimes I feel like we get the same like 4 or 5 arguments about the game that feel recycled a lot because it feels like it's just a lot of the same people talking about the same things, and the people that are happy are just not involved. There's not like a lot of new perspectives coming into the conversations very often because they're playing the game. I mean, yeah, I think it's true that a big part of why the community is generally good is because the GMs actually enforce the harassment policy. Like, the GMs actually will ban you if you're a shithead. If you call someone out for bad DPS because you're using ACT and are using the tool just to be a dick, you will get suspended for this. Now, I know there's a lot of different opinions about whether or not you should have DPS meter in the game. Officially, that's like it's probably never going to happen. It's a non-starter. Yoshi P said he doesn't want it. It's never going to happen as long as he's in charge. But it's not in the game. And I feel like that's one thing that, like, not having the add-on support, not having all that information immediately available probably does cut down on the harassment to an extent. Then again, people say that in Guild Wars 2, which I've been playing a bit of, you can have a DPS meter, but they enforce the harassment policy the same way. Like, if you use that information to be a dick, you will also get banned in Guild Wars 2. Maybe that's why Guild Wars also has a good community, because apparently GMs do stuff over there too. Like, they enforce the policies. I personally do think having more information available is good to the player. That's my take on it. Like, if I'm doing poorly, I want to know that. I want to know that I'm doing a bad job, because you can spend years playing and not know that you're playing like shit because you don't have the information. I mean, that was me when I started playing the game. I thought I was doing just fine. And then I joined a static, and somebody in the static was like, hey, you could be doing better. And I'm like, what? How do you know? And he's like, well, there's this website called FF Logs and I can show you how to use it. I'm like, oh my God, please do. And he did, and it helped me so much. It helped me so much. I was very grateful. I know that not everybody would want that. That's just my opinion. He said, kind of feel like harassment is cut from the stem from design. A lot of the content is casual oriented. The stuff that's more challenging is mostly opt-in. That's definitely a huge factor. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but I do think that some of the design is pretty significant part of things, where in a lot of World of Warcraft dungeons, for example, there are many opportunities for things to go wrong. There's more responsibility on the player to pull the dungeon properly, to get through it, and to do a lot of things correctly so that things don't all go to hell in a handbasket. Because of that, there's going to be more opportunities for friction between players. And with Final Fantasy 14, it seems like with a lot of story dungeon design, story raid design, alliance raids, it's designed in a way to reduce friction the maximum amount between players, to reduce the opportunities for people to yell at each other. And I always talk about, you know, there's like one thing in a dungeon that you have control over as the tank. How many enemies that you pull at one time. And that's the one thing that everybody gets mad at each other about in the dungeon. Who pulled ahead of the tank? How many things can the tank pull at once? Did the tank pull too many? Like, it's the same. It's that one thing that the players have control over. That is where a lot of people butt heads and say that they had a bad experience, because, I mean, people working together is hard. When people struggle to cooperate in general. Maybe in Japan they have a better time cooperating. I think they do. I have heard that they can use the duty finder for Savage. Imagine using duty finder for Savage. Imagine using duty finder for Savage. Some people say that maybe it's like the lack of factions. Like Horde versus Alliance. Like systems that pit players against each other more. Like lack of open world PvP. Like maybe that's one of the reasons why people fight less. But I really don't think that. Because genuinely, I feel like the people that hate someone because they play the other faction, these are like 14-year-olds. It's like 13-year-olds. Like, no, I don't think anyone is still doing that. I mean, there's probably some, but I just don't see it as that big of a thing nowadays. I mean, the game does have PvP now, but you can't actually shit talk people in PvP. You have to use the quick chat. So, I mean, they definitely go pretty far to try to prevent this stuff. You have to say, nice job, but people even found a way to be toxic with that. Nice job, nice job. Nice job. But now they actually made that bannable or suspendable. You can get reported for that. For if you just spam nice job toxically when things are going bad, you can get in trouble for that. I kind of feel like maybe it's because you need a fair bit of patience and just a generally chiller mindset to accept the fact that you are going to immerse yourself in hundreds of hours of pure story experience rather than rush straight to a traditional MMO endgame in Final Fantasy. I feel like this is probably the most romantic notion you could possibly have about why, like, a factor as to why the community is generally fairly positive. Like, do you think it has to do with the story itself in any way, and like the lessons that the story tells in any way or teaches? Because it's like, I say that because there is a pattern that I noticed with a lot of stories in this game, like side quest stories, job stories, the overarching story, and almost every time you have to work together with other people that don't really like you, or like they're being a dick, and you have to learn to work together and like work through your differences towards this common goal. Like this happens all the time in quests in this game. Like, how many quests have you done where it's like hey adventurer, can you bring me 3 bear asses? And then some dick comes along, like you bring them and some guy's like, hey, but those aren't the right bear asses. Like, where are you even from? I grew up around these parts and I know the right bears to hunt, and you don't know shit about this. I've been apprenticing under Master Cujo for 25 years and you're not welcome here. I'm the one that's supposed to be apprenticing and you just showed up and fuck you. And then 5 quests later, you guys are like baking pies together with Master Cujo, and the guy's like, you know what? I'm really sorry for what I said. It's just, ever since Mother left, I forgot the real reason why we collect bear asses, and I just lost sight of what we're all trying to do here, and I just thank you for helping me realize that I was wrong and I was really rude, and I just appreciate you, man. Thanks. Like that, I think I've done that quest like 100 times in Final Fantasy. And then you end up, you love that character, you grow together. It's like often showing you that people have the room to grow and can change. Yeah, it's fiction. Maybe it doesn't affect people that much. It's impossible to say, but I feel like it is a nice reminder for people. Maybe it is a factor if you just come off the heels of some stuff like that. It's like crafting and gathering. Yeah, it's so many crafting. The archer quests, you have that. I think there's cooking quests. Like, there's so many, man. Stop spoiling 7.x. Maybe it's that Final Fantasy is an old franchise, and does it just attract older people to it? Is it like FF boomers in it that are more relaxed by nature just because? But then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because the older I get, the less relaxed I become. I thought that as I get older, I'm supposed to chill out. But I'm not chilling out at all. I feel like I'm going in the opposite direction. So that doesn't really make sense. But I didn't come from the Final Fantasy. Maybe if I grew up on Final Fantasy, then that would have been the case. Like, this was my first Final Fantasy game.